Hello there, friends. Trace amounts of science. Like many of you, I grew up with Nintendo. Like, literally, from 5 to current day. Mario babysat me more often than my actual babysitter did. And when the babysitter came over, guess what? We're playing Mario together. Pokemon filled up my brain with a thousand monsters that will never have any real life applicability. But still, Nintendo was more than games to me. It was a childhood. It was an identity. You remember the console wars? I was staunchly Team Nintendo. No hedgehog heretics allowed. It was a community, so you gotta understand me when I say that this isn't an easy thing for me to accept or announce, but I gotta do it. I will not be buying a Nintendo Switch 2. Period. And if you love video games, then I don't know, you probably should think twice as well also. So I guess we could all accept basically as a fact that, Nintendo does know how to make some great games. But here's the issue. They're even better at making awful decisions. Decisions that actively hurt the very community that has built them up to the point that they're at right now. They utilize artificial scarcity, anti-consumer pricing models, they aggressively have shut down many content creators, and of course now, they're even building in ways to remotely kill your console if you step out of line. How dare you mod it? You don't actually own it, you're just renting it from us. This isn't Nintendo just being quirky, it is straight up hostile to the consumer. So lately, I've been sort of thinking about how my own nostalgia keeps nickeling and diming me for just holding on to my fondest memories. And I don't know, at some point the thought begins to occur to me that maybe I should just let those memories go. Like, we could build new memories and better experiences. I'm finally at a point where I don't feel like renting the same Diddy Kong Racing port that, let's be honest, I can emulate for free on my Steam Deck. I don't feel like paying out of my ass for experiences that are only marginally improved from what I already had. Breath of the Wild, amazing. Tears of the Kingdom, basically same shit. And honestly, I think I'm really over it at this point. I think a lot of people are. But, I don't know, is Nintendo so entrenched that they can't possibly be toppled over? I'm loath to accept that as the reality, but I don't know. Something has got to give. And speaking of being nickeled and dimed, let's go ahead and dive into Nintendo's favorite trick, artificial scarcity. The illusion of scarcity. So I think we've all been there maybe once or twice, right? You're sitting on some web page, refreshing like a maniac, fapping their F5s, just hoping to snag that latest limited time game or console, i.e. Mario 3D All-Stars or the Animal Crossing flavored Switch. Nintendo doesn't just create demand, they artificially choke supply, which turns excitement into anxiety. It's not even fun. It looks like the scalpers are having a great time. Hey, good for them, but I really don't want to play anymore. You guys remember the NES and SNES Classic Editions? About Super Mario 3D All-Stars being available for exactly 6 months before mysteriously vanishing from stores forever. What a regretful purchase that was for me, but they FOMO'd me real good. It's like Nintendo watched one too many, Jordan sneaker drop documentaries and they decided, hey, yeah, let's do all of that, but like 1,000 times worse. And it's not just about creating urgency. Like I said, Nintendo weaponizes your fear of missing out. They pressure you to buy immediately, or else you risk paying triple the price to some dude named Kyle on eBay. Honestly, Kyle didn't even play these games. He just knows people like us, well, we can't help ourselves. Or so they would have us believe. The price of nostalgia. And of course, scarcity really is only one small part of the problem. Just wait until you hear about how Nintendo's been quietly raising prices and gouging fans under the guise of nostalgia and premium experiences. I mean, you see it all across the game industry, I suppose, but there's nothing that hurts quite as much as that Nintendo tax. You will pay more for an underpowered game, and then you'll shake my hand and say thank you. Wow, Mario Kart for the 10th time at double the price. What a premium experience. Let's talk a little bit about how much Nintendo really thinks your childhood is worth. Look, I remember way back in the day when a full price game cost like 30, 40 bucks, then it was 50 and 60, and yeah, now Nintendo's out here pushing $70 and $80 price tags like it's some sort of flex. Like we're all just gonna sit here and thank them for the privilege of buying the same fucking game that we played on the Wii U, but you know, with marginally better grass textures. Updated shaders? Well, I'll pay 50% more for that. Oh, they're not even hiding it anymore, truly. This isn't next gen, it's, you know, it's just current gen, but with a facelift. They slap a fresh coat of paint on a franchise and say, alright, now pay up, peasant. You think the next Zelda game's not also gonna run on Breath of the Wild's engine? There's no such thing as a deluxe edition. I'd like you to package the entire game together like we used to do. Do you remember that? Nobody does. At what point does loyal fan shift into the area of becoming willing mark? Because Nintendo's not just testing the water with these prices. No. It's been rolled out in full force. They are committed. This is going to happen. And the truth is that most people will probably bend over and take it. But not me. Because think about it, like, even if you choke your pride down and swallow that fucking price tag all the way down to the balls, what are you really even buying? Ownership? Like I said, you're basically renting the console. Control of the console that you rented? I don't know. Let's talk a little bit more about what Nintendo buried in the fine print. Those little hidden clauses that make the Switch 2 feel, yes, exactly like a rental, with many strings attached. Own nothing, and be happy. You see that right there? You see what the fuck that says right there? Nintendo reserves the right to disable access in the event of unauthorized software or hardware modifications. Yeah, it's real, and it's buried in the EULA, which of course nobody reads, but everybody ends up agreeing to. And it's a clause that essentially says Nintendo can Thanos snap your console out of existing or ever working again if they feel like you stepped out of line. Not just if you're pirating, okay? Somebody in the game accused you of cheating? Snapped. You got on voice chat and said a naughty word? Snapped. Very open language that means I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's not just for people who are pirating or, you know, using their modding powers for evil. It's just if Nintendo decides that you have done something wrong. So let's say that you install some sort of, I don't know, fan-made modification to your Joy-Con in order to prevent the drift experience that fucking everybody went through and nobody really got justice for. Well, what if Nintendo doesn't like that you're not spending $80 on a new set of Joy-Cons? Well, boom! They could just nuke your console remotely. Alright, congrats! Now you got a $500 paperweight. Like, imagine if you went out and bought a car all of your own and brought it back home and changed out the seat covers. And then, I don't know, fucking Ford or whoever reserves the right to detonate the engine because you changed the seat covers. Like, it seems ludicrous, but that's sort of the energy that Nintendo's on right now. And I'm not thinking that it's a very good look. I do understand, you know, wanting to protect your IPs and things like this, but there is a line between IP enforcement and, like, straight up illegal overreach. And when you're locking down hardware that people bought and paid for just to control the experience post-sale. That's not protection, bro. That's fucking authoritarian. That is terrifying to me. And I wish that my list of complaints stopped with just the consumer, you know? But oh boy, Nintendo isn't just clamping down on what you can do, they're also coming for the content creators. And this has been happening for well over a decade at this point, so let's go ahead and talk about how the company that used to be the darling of YouTube became one of its greatest threats. Punishing the faithful. So, I used to have a gaming YouTube channel once upon a time, and I got in there right about the time that Nintendo started kicking up a bunch of shit, so I never built my channel off of Nintendo content. Despite loving it, I mostly just covered indie games. And that's because against Nintendo, you really can truly never win. I would be a minnow in a sea where the whale is also the referee and the Coast Guard and the guy that rents all the boats and sells the fishing licenses. But still, I did try to spotlight things that deserved love. Games with heart, devs that cared, creators just trying to fucking do something cool. But when Nintendo brings the hammer down, it doesn't just fall on the big channels. Much like everything else, it falls onto everyone. Shit rolling downhill, as they say. They strike videos for showing modded games, or fan games, or even just talking about emulators. They'll go after harmless Let's Plays, gameplay clips, even like music compilations. If Nintendo can copyright claim it, they 100% will. I learned that Toho was largely the same when I tried to use an old Godzilla clip, like 5 seconds, and they copyright claimed it. It might be some part of Japan's corporate culture that I don't fully grasp. I did live there for a while, but it was only 4 years. I'm not equipped to speak on all that, but I'll say from the outside looking in, yeah, it looks kinda weird. And it's also really just stupid, because when you copyright claim things like that, you are gutting the exact culture that helped those games to thrive in the first place. Sega got the message. They love to encourage fan games and fan art. It's celebrated, reposted. Nintendo, no. Your 6-year-old drew a picture of Mario. I'll see you in court. How do you make Mario feel hostile? That's like the most evil kind of corporate alchemy available. But here's really the kicker. You know, it's not just that they're overzealous. It's that they don't want anyone else to define their legacy except them. Not fans, not modders, not content creators, just the corporation and the people at the top. The problem with that being that I don't think they see what the actual legacy is supposed to be. Thousands of wonderful games that never get a remake or a re-release at all. Even if you wanted to pay money for it, you couldn't, but also don't emulate it. Just forget that it exists forever. And part of me really does want to question, like, okay, what the fuck is it all for? You know? You just want a tighter hold on the leash of nostalgia. You want to make a few extra bucks. You built something that people loved so much that they wanted to share it with others. And instead of embracing that, you consistently punish them for it. Which is fucking ridiculous, needless to say. And right now, Nintendo, yeah, they are not indifferent. Nintendo saved the gaming market once upon a time, back in the 80s, but I don't know, how much goodwill does that actively buy you when for the next 50 years, you are practicing the most anti-consumer things that you possibly can? And yes, finally, I guess people are starting to notice. I guess the only question now that we have noticed becomes, what are we supposed to do about it? Because, you know, this isn't just me yelling into the void. This is me telling you that there is a path forward. Even if we gotta avoid the Mushroom Kingdom because, you know, a little bit lawsuit happy. That Mario, that Bowser, that other IP I can't name for fear of being sued into the ground. What the dog doing? So the truth is, We all know Nintendo's not going to change unless it absolutely has to, is forced to, by the all-moving hand of the market. So maybe real power doesn't come from like boycotting or rage posting about them, but simply from shifting our attention. I said early on that I wanted to build new memories, and that's what I'm working on. I'm actively rewarding people who are doing the thing right. Indie devs, open platforms, studios that listen and engage and understand that games are better when we can all share them together. I've gotten so inspired by the indie dev community that I decided to try and indie dev my very own Match 3 visual novel game called Waifu Pilled. You're seeing some gameplay of it on the screen right now.
In a city made of dreams, neon lights and secret schemes.
Nice combo.
In the dark. Every crush leaves a
Impressive.
mark. Pixel love and sugar
Unstoppable.
lies. Pretty faces, alibis. Match 3, 2, 1.
Perfection.
Let the waifus take control. Waifu crush. Give me all your love tonight.
Please wishlist it on Steam, and if it's not available yet, I'm sure I'll plug it again at some point in the future. All I'm saying is you should go out there and support the games and the creators that actually give a damn about the people that are playing and supporting the games. If they're doing it right, then you should, share videos and leave reviews and speak with your wallet and your time and your actions, your voice, your community, because every single click or purchase or post or video, it matters. It all adds up. And I personally am sick and tired of being shat upon by Nintendo simply for liking what they do and wanting to increase their metrics. You and me, we're done. Taken 30 plus years, but we can't be friends no more. So yes, as for me, like I said, I'm not buying a Switch 2. Not because I hate Nintendo, but because I'm really just done rewarding companies that treat their most loyal fans like walking wallets. That's the reason I quit World of Warcraft. I think a broader spectrum of people is waking up to it because Ubisoft's stock price just took a dump. These companies have, given us some great games, but now they've rested on their laurels for far too long, and yeah, the goodwill is not going to buy them a pass forever. This isn't a personal crusade against the game industry. It's just more like a boundary, a line that I set for myself, finely drawn in concrete instead of sand. Good for you, Nintendo. Oh, hooray! You saved gaming once upon a time. But yeah, now it feels like they're trying to be the sole arbiters of gaming and crush anybody who steps out of line. Personally, I'd hope that, everybody's in this with me, but if you're gonna buy the Switch 2, I don't care. Go out and do it. I'm not your fucking real dad, okay? But do not act surprised when the thing updates overnight and you wake up to a terms of service that requires a blood oath and two-factor authentication via Mario Kart Tour, which I think they took off Google Play, so you're going to have to go find the APK on the deep web. Anyway, yeah, so that's the video. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go play something made by people who don't seem to actively hate me for enjoying their products. You are loved, you are worthy. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, bye-bye.